Welcome to Penthouse or Outhouse, where two product managers dissect startups that went to the moon or went down in flames. In this episode, we are diving into Plenty of Fish, the dating site that took on Match.com, which was built by a single founder from his apartment, just as a side project when he was looking for work. Unlike last time, there was no overfunding here. He stayed bootstrapped, holding 100% of the equity for almost the entire journey of the company. So how did it turn out? Stick around to find out. As usual, I will be walking Will through the story cold and watching him react in real time. So join us as we trace Plenty of Fish's path to the Penthouse or to the Outhouse. Will, welcome back for episode 2. We felt enough success in episode 1 that we thought it was worth recording a second one. One thing that we did get in terms of success was a lot of feedback on making ourselves more clear and also, more importantly, bringing in some kind of evaluation rubric for the startups that we are going through. And we have come up with our own one offline. We've called it the Outhouse to Penthouse ratio, or the OPR. And we're going to go through 6 key metrics, which I'm going to get you to give your reaction to. I think we'll keep it simple and we'll literally just have thumbs down, neutral, or thumbs up, or -1, 0, or +1. If they're in the positive, well, they're positive on the Outhouse to Penthouse ratio. And if they're in the negative, then they are negative in the Outhouse to Penthouse ratio and they are in danger. I think importantly for this, Will, is that startups are difficult. I think that's well-tilled soil. It only really requires one critical fail factor for the whole thing to be a complete bin fire. Yeah. But what we can do here is, giving our fairness to founders, we can show that you can get a 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 rather score in the Outhouse to Penthouse ratio, which is looking pretty good, and you can still fall flat on your face. How does that sound?
Yeah, 100%. I think having a structured rubric makes our snarky analysis just a little bit more digestible.
I want you to feel free, Will. I know you can be a bitch, and I want that to be on full display to our listeners. I've never had somebody so able to insult me and make me laugh while in pain at the same time. So if that can come through, I think that will be good.
Yeah, within the context of a thoughtful framework, no problems.
Excellent. Well, the first one, thinking back to Juicero in episode 1, the over-engineered juicer machine that had the power of lifting 2 Teslas and the brand adjacency of Tesla and Apple, according to the founder. Let's go through some of these questions. So the first one is, does it solve a real problem, or does it hurt, to put a finer point on it? What are your thoughts?
Look, I think juice has many ways to solve that problem. And, in classic Clay Christensen jobs to be done territory, juice does a whole lot of jobs as well. Clearly, there were people who were interested in Juicero and retained it even after they had the offer to, get it refunded. But clearly, there's not sufficient scale of this problem hurting, or it hurting enough to have got them into orbit.
So we can get a bit of, I think, a 0 there. Like, it sort of hurts.
Yes.
Obviously, people are buying it. The second one is, does it work? Yes.
Unquestionably, it's the engineering was so remarkable that it certainly makes a juice.
It makes a juice. Although, negative factor on that, it did require a QR code, and with flaky internet, sometimes no.
Of course. So, I think we have to say the Juicero made juice.
The Juicero made juice. We'll give it a pass. Okay, we're on +1. Was it defying gravity? So could it be profitably delivered before the money ran out? Evidently no.
Definitely not. Not with the scale of that warehouse, with the cost of the machine to build and engineer. Presumably without enough lock-in to the juice packs. They could be, squeezed by hand, or people, absolutely people would have worked out substitute juice packs and whatever else as well. I think the belief in the revenue trajectory and the level of demand was clearly defying gravity.
And is there reality distortion? So does the leadership systematically reject disconfirming evidence? Messiah complexes, such as that we've seen with WeWork, I think, is a classic example. There was a bit of a messiah complex there.
Yeah.
Criticisms being dismissed. I think we can firmly give that a -1. There was definitely a bit of grandiosity with our founder. And is it scalable? Answer to that is, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, it seemed to work in real life, and I'm sure they could have scaled production. They clearly had the warehouse capacity to do it. It's mostly a demand scale question rather than a supply scale question, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. So that'll bring us back to a -1 we're at net. And then finally, is it an elephant or a cockroach? Fair to say it's an elephant. What I mean by this is, can it survive a lean period, or does it need a lot of food or a lot of funding? In this case, it required $120 million of funding, and it did not get the sales to justify it, and it could not survive a lean period whatsoever. Nope. That makes it an elephant, not a cockroach, and that gives us a total score on the Outhouse to Penthouse ratio of -2. Obviously, it did end up being a spectacular failure, so I think having it in the negative is fair enough. So we're going to apply that rubric to all of the businesses that we go through now. I'm sure every tech business in the world is going to take up OPR quite quickly, and we'll take it from there. It's going to be the engine behind their viral growth.
Wait till we see it on Shark Tank as the way of assessing how likely they are to invest. It's going to be great.
I hate it. I'm out.
Wow.
I smell jail time.
I think maybe one call out on that last question of elephant or cockroach. Being an elephant was a pretty common decision at the time when funding was so available and interest rates were so low and everything else. So to some extent, there's, circumstances surrounding the elephantitis or elephantine nature of elephantitis is not the right word. Elephantine nature of the company rather than the cockroach nature of the company. So it's not entirely their own fault, I suppose.
100%. And we'll actually see that throughout the decades that we focus on, different trends in businesses that we're going with and what worked and what didn't at the time. Obviously, the mindset at the time was a real scarcity mindset around startups and funding, and the idea that you needed to be the dominant market leader. You can't just create a nice, profitable little business. Fuck profit. It's all about getting as much revenue as possible, growing, capturing the market, and then extorting it later. That was kind of the mindset at the time. So I do think that was defensible, and obviously something that our listeners should know is that there are a lot of venture capitalists who won't actually even look at deals that are under a certain amount, and that pigeonholes you in a certain way. And the reason they do that is because they have to do the amount of due diligence the same regardless of whether it's a $500,000 investment or a $15 million investment. And they're like, this just isn't worth the ROI on our time. So today we're going to have a bit of an abrupt right-hand turn and go all the way back to 2003, Will. Ooh. So think cringy Hotmail addresses. The iPod has a click wheel. We're talking about portals instead of SaaS and the cloud.
Backstreet Boys.
Use Yeah. Backstreet Boys. Big dogs are using Blackberries. You're messaging your friends on MSN.
Yeah.
And online dating is for creepers and weirdos. And that's where we're going to start, actually. So today's founder, a bit of background, is a German-born Canadian called Marcus Frind. And he moved to Canada as a young child and there grew up on a farm. And he attributes that to his hard work ethic. But he didn't go into farming. Far from it. He graduated with computer science or something adjacent to computer science from BCIT in Vancouver. And in his attempts to try and get a job, basically, he built a side project, which was a dating site, because he wanted to show that he could learn ASP.NET, classic coding language that everyone's using these days.
Yeah.
And improve his resume so he could get a job, basically. It took him 2 weeks. And Will, you can remember the last episode we talked about Juicero and what can go wrong if you overfund a business. And today I want to come at entrepreneurship from a very different angle and talk about what can happen if you very stubbornly underfund a business.
Okay.
Because it can lead to quite interesting results. So initial thoughts, online dating 2003. I mean, I don't know that you're old enough to have really been on the market at that point, but going purely based on vibes, what are your thoughts on that market?
Look, I think we've seen high MAU growth. There's obviously an aggregation of successful businesses into the one kind of overarching company that owns Tinder and Hinge and a whole bunch of other ones, and OK Cupid and
It's
whatever.
Match Group. Yeah.
That's the one. So um, I imagine it was kind of riding a secular wave of the internet. It was kind of the new classifieds, moving online, offline classifieds dating online. I don't think it was probably not a bad market to be in. Maybe just challenged around people's desire to put money into things on the internet.
Yeah, so that's one of the challenges. But as I mentioned in the intro, 2003 online dating wasn't really mainstreamed. So it was definitely seen as something that was like embarrassing. You did have offerings out there. So you did have Match.com, which has become Match Group. And that started in 1995. As you mentioned, it owns Hinge. And it had expensive monthly fees at the time and was heavily gated.
Yeah, I was going to say, often searching for that kind of niche market of people who are unlucky in love or looking for love, actually not always a bad strategy to target a very particular niche of consumers. Maybe they're older, have a higher willingness to pay for these kinds of things where they feel like it could be worth it for them. The kind of advertising powered high volume model of some of the apps and everything else. It monetizes very differently, but those early days, you pay per message or whatever else. I mean, I think if you could get it right, you could probably do okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're essentially describing the dominant business model at the time. Everything was heavily gated, pay per message. It was targeted at sort of divorcees. I think there was also eHarmony, which was one of the first ones that most people think of. So it launched in the early 2000s. It was a subscription service and it focused on having a high price point, middle-aged market. It had big TV commercials behind it. Yeah. And it was all about like personality science and things. So you'd have to do these really detailed questionnaires.
Yeah, that's right.
Contra Tinder, where you just get on and just like, hot, not, basically swipe right, swipe left.
Yeah. Well, I guess the comparison for one of those sites was like a professional matchmaker. So if you're thinking like the job to be done is find a partner, the only thing that people had was either like, connecting through church or through family or through some kind of social means. If no luck then you go to a matchmaker who has some deep database of people that you spend a lot of time with, you spend a lot of money on. Bringing it online was all about making that more accessible and breaking down barriers, which we can then, we see kind of goes all the way to like left, right swiping on Tinder, but it's kind of a continuum along there.
Yeah, it took a while to get there. And I guess you can think about the thesis of I don't even know if product manager was a title at this time, but like what the product managers were, or the de facto product managers were going for. They had like Christian dating websites and Jewish dating websites. So they're trying to make that step change from dating within your community to bringing that community online. And obviously the thought was that people weren't ready for just the chaotic marketplace that there is now. There were things like Yahoo Personals and MSN Dating, which were sort of bolt-ons to big players at the time.
Craigslist Personals.
Exactly. So I think the characteristics of the market at the moment, and the reason I'm bringing all this up is because what we're going to discuss was genuinely different. But it had three key things to note. One, all of these things were paid services and quite expensive paid services because obviously that was tapping into a fairly deep need. Obviously people want companionship, but targeting a very niche market because at the time people weren't really at the stage of adopting it. People didn't really widely adopt it, particularly young people, until Tinder in around 2013-ish, I think. So the market wasn't at mobile stage. And also the internet kind of sucked at load speeds and things like that. So you had to have a really motivated buyer because these are all three pretty high entry barriers. Yeah. And as you know, it's a huge turn on when you've got a desperate person in a dating marketplace, all of which these things select for. Well, let's talk about why this site was different than eHarmony and Match and OK Cupid, which launched around the same time.
Yeah.
So like those sites, it was a traditional desktop site. There was no swiping. UX was described as homey, which I think is maybe not such a complimentary thing in this context. So it was simple. Yeah, simple, pretty ugly, centered around chat boards. You hit the site in a browser. You just created a username and basic profile like age, gender, location. There were some text boxes where you just fill in some stuff about yourself. No onboarding journey to speak of as we might currently think of. Just here's a form, fill it out. And it had the same UX whether you were looking for marriage, a casual fling, an extramarital affair. There was no search magic behind it. Basically, you would then go and search and put in the standard filters, which in a fairly rudimentary way filtered people based upon what they put in on their profiles. So big contrast to eHarmony, where you've got the personality psychology and it's trying to give you rifle shot matches. And which, by the way, had some big problems associated with that business model, because with the rifle shot matches, if that actually works, then you've just done yourself out of a customer.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's so interesting. There's one of their apps now that maybe it's Hinge is I think the tagline is the dating app you're supposed to delete, or there's some like their mission is actually to get you off the platform because you've happily found someone.
Yeah, well, meanwhile, they also own Tinder, which is quite a clever segmentation of the market, right?
Yeah. Got to hit everyone.
So if we're talking about like unique selling point of this platform, why would anybody use it?
You haven't really sold it to me so far. It's sounding pretty...
It had a single unique selling point, really. It was completely free.
Okay. Always a good selling point.
Well, it achieved two things. So the vast majority of its competition was paywalled. Obviously, that reduced the barrier. And if you think about the market at the time, with the benefit of hindsight, if people aren't really comfortable, they feel really squeamish about online dating, and then you ask them to also get out their credit card, and people are pretty squeamish about shopping on the internet more generally, you're combining two massive anxieties to really niche your market. Well, you've just removed a huge barrier and increased your market. The other thing, which is less obvious, is that no one was really investing in SEO in this space. And by having things paywalled, what you were achieving was all of your stuff was gated and couldn't be crawled. Whereas on this, it created really deep keywords for people to find this. So you've got a pretty clear unmet need. I mean, with the benefit of hindsight, where obviously online dating is huge now. It's that's basically how people meet other people, by and large. You've taken away huge barriers to entry by removing the need for a credit card, and also making discoverability really cheap, because you've got SEO when basically nobody else does, because everybody else is relying on TV commercials. And it's, I mean, let's start off our OPR analysis straight off the bat. I think we've got a real problem. I think that's fair. That's a +1. It's a cockroach. The guy's got himself in his apartment. I mean, if you're growing really quickly, you can get a bank loan if you really need it, but he doesn't have any cost base to speak of. It took him 2 weeks. Like, it's not a huge investment of his time. And the unit economics makes sense because there's no cost. So there's no defying of gravity. And I think that gives us a +3 out of the 6 things straight off the bat.
It's a very strong start. It's also interesting that it's kind of the first, it sounds like one of the early ones. If you think about how dating worked previously, often in small communities or with like very filtered list of people, a lot of the assumptions about how dating works offline got brought into the online world with the first versions of all these services. This is kind of the first like internet scale native service by the sound of it. Like, it's free, you get much more volume through, and I guess there's a trade, not having spent a significant amount of time with the dating apps, but there's definitely an argument to be made that sometimes quantity can be better than quality in terms of connecting you with someone who's maybe right for you over time. And you kind of need a fundamentally different approach to the high curation. You actually just take volume, and once you have enough volume, there'll be enough good quality on there that you can find the thing you want.
100%. And think about with your PM hat on, your ability to iterate. If you get all that amount of data and you capture a huge chunk of the market, and you can kind of experiment and see what actually works, right? Versus curating it, making it impossible barriers to entry. Well, not impossible, but significant enough that no one below the age of 30 would really do online dating at 2003. The other thing in his favor, actually, from what I can see, no Messiah complex to speak of. Like, I researched this guy for highly realistic. He was just like, people don't want to pay for shit, and this personality psychology is pseudoscience. You just need a lot of shots. That was basically what he said. Pretty no nonsense. And he's had no interest in taking on outside investment. So we're 4 for 4 towards the Penthouse. But can you foresee any potential problems with this model?
I don't know how he was going to make money because there's probably not, maybe hard to take credit cards, and less of an online advertising market that's well optimized at that stage. Um, Maybe there's some like customer discomfort with adoption. Um, for the moment, though, I mean, it sounds like a reasonably compelling proposition.
Well, yeah. If you remember the two other aspects of the OPR, which I don't think we've answered yet, does it work? Dating sites need a very large group of people. I don't know if you've ever been on Hinge or Tinder or something in a small town, Will. In my brief moment of being single in my adult life, I have. It's an interesting experience. It's basically like, no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Swipe right. And then you've run out of matches.
Yeah. You finish Tinder.
Yeah. You're done with barrel now.
So was that your reaction or was that people's reaction to you?
I mean, I can only assume they were swiping right all the time. I mustn't. It must have been that.
Yeah. It's not you. It's definitely not you.
No. It's not me. It's them. So the next thing is it scalable? And I think this is the key point, because what you're essentially doing is, with this unmet need, you've got a grass fire, and then you're like, let's pour some petrol around here, and see what happens. And it's pretty difficult to foresee all of the scalability issues that might come with something that basically doesn't exist, but that everybody wants, and this is the only one you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah. See ChatGPT scaling stories.
Well, I mean, except it didn't. ChatGPT has billions of dollars in funding, right?
Yes. Yeah, and billions of dollars of revenue, to be fair, but I'm pretty sure they're still making a loss anyway.
So what do you think would be the key things required for this product to work in terms of uptake, and then in terms of providing like a satisfactory user service? Like, what do you think are the fundamentals with the benefit of hindsight?
I mean, I guess so it wasn't really targeted at any particular market, right? So did it actually achieve massive scale? Because that obviously implies a bunch of engineering requirements about, things working. I guess the key product thing is, and you'd probably do it quite differently at small scale and large scale, like how do you actually help people match with each other and find the people that they want? But also, how do you get people comfortable enough to share things on there to even seed the whole process in the first place? I really worked backwards there, actually, from engineering requirements to like core product requirements rather than the other way around.
No, but that's fair enough. Like, they're the two questions that we were kind of looking to explore, and which the jury's out on at this point in the information that I revealed to you. So it ended up growing really quite quickly. And I think that just being free in an island of not free, like once a few people were on there, it kind of just grew organically. And also because people were discovering keywords like singles near me and that sort of stuff. So from a product perspective, in order to get retention, I think that's kind of the key aspect. And the things I've got here is I think it needed to have excellent response times, because in this sort of thing, people kind of want instant gratification, because it's a bit of a ego crushing thing if you put yourself out there and then you just get crickets. It's like, ugh, delete, don't let anyone find this profile ever.
Yeah, God.
So high conversion rate is preferable. But in this case, that didn't really need to be the case to go from, because it relied on advertising. Like, it was just ugly banner ads.
Okay.
The site, by all reports, was quite ugly, and it just had gross banner ads everywhere. Not the sort of stuff that you would need, but like it removed the barrier. So big enough need that people.
Uncommon approach to monetization for all kinds of AI slop sites now. So
we're reverting back after sort of having a moral thing against advertising. People are working out that it's all very well to be high and mighty about this, but turns out that's what people are willing to pay for. Delivering an acceptable range of possible matches, so the seeding point, which you indicated, but obviously they were able to solve that problem, and to keep the prospect pool, obviously quality, relatively high, and have misbehaving users quickly removed. So scamminess. And that was one of the biggest problems that this site faced. So it had 100% free unlimited messaging. Most of the other sites at the time had paid messaging. Like you could sign up and create a profile, but if you actually wanted to message anybody, which
Yeah.
obviously you do, then you
Yeah.
had to pay. The only moderation was like volunteer moderation and community norms.
Ooh.
So it's
Wow.
kind of like the Wikipedia of dating.
And there's a kind of a customer problem there as well of like a lot of people probably new to the internet, not knowing what these norms look like. Maybe people who are more vulnerable or something and looking, and it's a classic like Nigerian prince scamming story of people falling for it because they're so desperate for the thing to be true.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. If you think about the numbers too, so by 2008, it was ranked in the top few dating sites in North America. And it had millions of users all the time, like every month. But at that point, it only had like 5 employees.
Amazing. Hey, firmly a cockroach in the
Yeah. So this guy in Vancouver in his apartment was just like trying to work out the engineering on the fly and do security and quality bottlenecks. Obviously the ad-supported thing has like perverse incentives, and then you've kind of got maybe ads on there that don't create a great user experience. But you've just got so many different people coming on. But then out of millions, apparently from my research, like 10% of people on dating apps, even now, are bad actors in terms of being kind of scammy. So if you think about something that had like no verification and people just coming on willy-nilly.
Anyone would really have known how to do that at scale at the time. Like
probably not, because most security is responsive.
The identity didn't exist, like, you know, all of that stuff to say, actually, this person might be dodgy, just not there.
Yeah, not there at all. So there was basically a quality nosedive around sort of the late 2000s, early 2010s, and cracks were really starting to show. You've got spam and bots and spray and pray messages. So you can imagine, and bad actors, I am including in that, like bad actors in terms of maybe they are legitimately trying to date, but they're doing so in a pretty sinister way, like spray and pray messages, dick pics. And then it kind of came to a head when there was a PR disaster in 2011 where this company Krebs did with some research, and it accessed
like a security company, right?
Yeah, it just decided to go out there and did some research and accessed millions of accounts just to bust their security. And was alleging that this site was storing passwords insecurely. And
well, I imagine with only 5 employees trying to operate at whatever that scale was, some of the security practices may have been a little bit lax. Yeah,
well, this was horrible PR for them, and it was covered in the tech press a lot as being wildly unprofessional. And you can imagine this poor guy who, as like a little resume project, created this site to show that he could build something in ASP.NET. And he's hit on such a nerve that he's got millions of users, fraud, poor password storage. He's like,
what was the jumping off point from that project into the market?
Can you explain that in a different word?
Well, so like he obviously built this thing as a little demo project or whatever. Then did he like just chuck it on the internet and see what happened, or?
From all my research, it seems like that's basically what he did. Like he chucked it on the internet.
Huge organic distribution and, you know, natural product market fit effectively.
Yeah, massive product market fit without any funding, without any marketing, when he was competing with huge ad budgets. But what they didn't have is SEO and people communicating their deepest, darkest desires to Google all the time.
Good on him. Now I'm fascinated to see where it unfolds and how it ends up coming to it.
In 2012 to 2014 era, there was basically like a patchwork of fixes. It was all completely reactive. So he had an intimate encounters category. He removed that. It didn't really lend itself to great PR. And large age gap messaging. There were sort of ads that were banned in words from messages from men, because you got basically ads in the form of messages that were coming in, and it was people pretending to be users but actually advertising products. So you had to respond to that.
Cesspool.
Yeah, heinous.
Did this just and it was 4chan or something?
No, it didn't. It didn't. It's got an interesting ending though. It was still largely legacy code and UX, like it was just this big monolith that this one guy built, but still getting millions of users. And then right at this time, when you've got these legal issues, you've got the competitors who are much more reputable. It's getting spam law fines.
Mhm.
There are lawsuits over ads. And to put it on top of all of that, around 2013, everything starts going mobile. And this guy has a team of 5 to 8 people or something with a legacy shitty ASP.NET code base with millions of users.
Mobile Safari was not making it destined for greatness.
Yeah, so it's user sentiments decaying, Friend is maybe panicking a little bit. The market's consolidating with Match Group acquiring OkCupid and Tinder. Lawsuits are bubbling. So with all of that, the data breach, the self-immolation from a PR perspective, the user experience visibly collapsing, terrible architecture, a tiny team. What do you think are the lessons that can be drawn from this?
Well, I don't really know where's it ended up, I guess, is the question. Does it still exist or not? Did they recover? Did they?
I was trying to stitch you up there to go a little bit premature on your judgment, but you're obviously too smart for that. So
jumping through that hoop.
Yeah. This site was Plenty of Fish.
Ah, okay.
And it got acquired by Match Group with a single shareholder, this guy who made a 2-week project in his bedroom in Vancouver for $575 million.
Well done him. Very good.
Like it took a while to get there. I can't believe he did. But if you then look at the actual calculus of what he'd achieved within that time frame of 12 years, I guess it was. So it was in 2015 he got acquired.
Yeah.
He had 100 million registered users, 3 million daily active users, $100 million in revenue, which was all coming from ads.
Wow.
And he was even getting bad PR for the ads. Like he was getting panned in the tech press and everything for having this gross product placement in like Lady Gaga videos and stuff. But it didn't seem to matter.
A younger user base somehow.
Yeah. It had 5% extra market share in the US, even though they just tacked on this shit mobile app with a terrible user experience. Just be like, oh no, everyone's gone mobile. Quick, like whip up something. And it would have been one of those browser apps that's just housed in a fake application for sure. But it had a huge number of users and it neutralized the biggest free competitor for Match Group. So there you go.
So do we reckon Match bought it as a revenue driver or they bought it defensively?
I think both, because it got that bottom end of the market. It did bring in, there were 100 million users and 3 million daily active users. That's not nothing. But I think defensively, it gave them a free product that no one else really had, apart from one of their major competitors. So despite the trust and safety baggage, despite the terrible user experience from objective means that we as product managers might pull our hair out over, the spamminess, all of that sort of stuff,
really
huge success.
Really hit on something and retained people, clearly.
So there you go. I mean, I know it's a very different flavor this episode.
Yeah.
We're not so much laughing at the guy. I did some research into what the guy has done since. And you know how some people just can't really get enough of they just love it. You've got, they need to start other businesses. They think they've got a messiah complex, which we talked about before, where they think that they must be the smartest in every single field because they had a home run in something. So they become a walking case study in the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah.
This guy made a winery.
Good on him. Oh, God, that's the way to do it. Move it. I wonder if it's also called a Plenty of Fish winery.
No, it's not. Hang on. It's called the Friend Estate Winery. And, the only thing it has is a short bio on the website that he helped millions of marriages and babies as a result of the website, which is definitely worth popping a cork over. Am I right?
Absolutely.
And then sold it to Match.com. And his family, for the past 500 years, it says, had been working in viticulture and farming So
Returned to
he
his
went back to his roots and checked out.
Good on him. That's exactly. I mean, you have to. He certainly ended up in the penthouse. I don't know if Plenty of Fish has given their website seems to be hanging together with Thread. I don't know if Plenty of Fish has ended up in the penthouse, but he certainly did all right for himself.
At the very least, I think we can say that he is Tom from MySpace of the dating world.
Yeah, and isn't that the best way to be?
100%.
And go and do things for fun, not just pressure and success.
Yeah. Marcus Friend, the multimillionaire that I feel like all multimillionaires and billionaires should aspire to be. Quit while you're ahead.
Yeah.
Create some genuine value.
Yeah. No antitrust.
Go make wine.
Yeah. Avoid the antitrust inquiries and the federal Senate, whatever it is that they always pull Sundar and Zuckerberg and everyone up to. Just make some love in the world and take your money and go.
So, Will, I'm sorry to have disappointed everybody by teeing you up as being snarky and mean and hilarious in doing so, and then teeing you up with a good news story. But for me, it was surprising enough.
It sounds like he didn't make too many bad moves at all. I mean, ultimately, we know that people don't really value privacy on the internet in the end anyway. Everyone just will give up their data or give up whatever for a free product if it's like even got the tiniest little bit of value in it. So I think he clearly had a deep product intuition for what people wanted and how to do it.
Yeah. And are they our lessons that our entire career is maybe silly and just make something bare bones that meets a need for free?
Our career is even more important. It's about knowing what are the key constraints and the most important thing that you need to optimize for, and then trading everything else off until you demonstrate that it works, and then making the investments that you need.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you for defending the honor of product management. Take that, UI design.
No. Fuck the wireframes.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent stuff, Will. I think we can leave it there.
Should we do a little wrap? Should we do a wrap on the score for this one?
Yeah, well, I've given it a 6 out of 6.
I mean, it does make sense.
Maybe a 5 out of 6 if we say scalability is questionable. But it got it done enough to make one guy $500 million. So,
Yeah, I think it's hard to argue with. Maybe lose a point for some giving people some pretty traumatic experiences with scamming and dick pic and everything else.
Fair.
Maybe a little bit more care might have been helpful. But overall, I'm in the Penthouse.
Let's give it a 5 out of 6 then, because I think that we can't give it a negative. We can't give it a -1 for scalability because it fundamentally achieved more than most people would manage to achieve with their lifetime, and did so based on his little ASP.NET infrastructure. So good on him.
Yeah, but I guess so. Maybe working at scale isn't just the engineering execution. It's the what assumptions change as you scale it and you need to deal with.
Yeah, for sure. And he never could have imagined at that time or had the forethought. No. So I guess that's the counter argument though, right? Because it kind of is a case study and you can't predict what's going to happen. Yeah. So sometimes just taking the most pragmatic short-term business decisions and then reactivity later is better off than trying to plan out everything exhaustively. And in doing so, if he had planned for that level of scale, he would have increased his cost base so much and required external investment and created so many rods for his own back and headaches, quite apart from not being the only equity holder at the time of sale. Maybe it would have gone even further and maybe it would be Match.com or the equivalent today. But then he'd have to be CEO of Match.com. He wouldn't be making his winery and just chilling in the country. Yeah.
And so I think it's... there's kind of infinite counterfactuals here. I think based on what the result was, a 5 out of 6 in the Penthouse seems like a pretty good summary and a fair scoring of the overall performance.
Yeah. And I think that's a good place to leave it. They're not always going to be that rosy.
No.
They're not always going to be that stinky as Juicero ended up being. But my goal here in this series is to keep everybody guessing. So hopefully that was at least a little bit of a surprise. Will, I'll catch up with you next time on Penthouse or Outhouse. But for now, it's been good. Thank you for your analysis. You brought up some points that I wouldn't have thought of myself.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for all the prep. That was fun. Looking forward to the next one.